Where are we? I think we're... Wait a minute. Let's just have a look. Are we live on YouTube? Possibly not. Let's have a look. Did I hit the button yet? Yes. Okay, great. Apparently YouTube should be working now. So welcome to all of our YouTube viewers. As I said, this is what we're going to be demonstrating just here today. So I'm going to show you how to make something like this. So it's more or less using a half cross stitch technique, and we're going to stitch beads onto our canvas backing fabric. So this is the perfect little fabric here that we have. It works exactly with the little beads that you need, the size of the fabric and the size of the beads. If I show you it very, very closely, it's made up of a big grid. So that grid just there is exactly the size of one bead. So one little square on this is exactly the size of one little bead. So I'll show you the kit while we get started. So if you order the kit, this is the full set of instructions that you'll get here. This is the visual chart. We give you a visual chart and a word chart. So I'm going to show you how to use both of those today on my little sample piece. I've got a little square about this big just here that I'm going to show you how to do all of the techniques and things with. So yeah, inside your kit, we'll open this one up. You've got everything that you need. So we give you your beading needle, we give you your thread. So you can see you've got a big spool of your thread just here. You've got all your different bead colors. They're all labeled. See, look, color N. There's 16 different colors in there. Color P it goes all the way up to. You've got your backing fabric included as well, just here. And then I'll show you all of the different instructions. And I'm going to use one. I'm going to use the actual arrazzo, which is what we've called it, which is this sort of technique for making these bead images. I'll show you the entire process on the diagrams here. So included with the kit, you've also got your instructions on how to turn it into a beaded box. Obviously, because we're not a fabric company, we don't supply you with any of the fabric, but essentially you just need to choose yourself one fat quarter or two different colors of fabric, and you can use those to make yourself a lid and a base. But this is all covered here. Jermaine's expertise with sewing is well implemented in this little piece just here. So all of that information is covered on this little piece of paper. I might stick it as a download in future, you know, in the next however long. But at the minute, if you want to get the kit, it will come with this, of course. Here is the Arazzo worksheet with the instructions. So I'm going to go through each of these diagrams and show you how we get ourselves started. But yeah, I showed you the visual chart, which is this one here. We also give you the word chart as well. So if you have a look here, you can see I've done the even numbered rows in red and the odd numbered rows in black, and everything is counted. So see how there's a little L here at the top? So I'll just describe that before we begin. So you can see L means we start from the right of our work and we move towards the left. So looking at our picture, row 1, we're going to start here in the top right corner, and we're going to go all the way along the very first row. So if you check a look at that real quick, you can see if we start in the very top corner, right there, that's 1L. So if you have a look, it says row 1, we start with 1L. Then if you come up here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of your color H beads. So it says 5H. So you don't have to do any counting if you've got the visual chart and the word chart together. You can sort of see what it is that you're going to be making, how it should look. But then this will give you the information on how many beads in each particular row. So we're going to go in this design. We work somewhat like a tapestry. So instead of like standard cross stitch where you do a little bit of this color here, then you jump over and do a bit more of that same color and then a bit more here with that same color. With the arrazzo, we start in the top, we go all the way across, we go down into the second row, all the way back across, third row, back across, back and forth, all the way until eventually we release the view of our little design there. I just realized I left my beaded coaster out in, so hopefully someone who's paying attention, mum or dad, if you're out there and you're watching and listening, which they should be, I've left the little coaster in the other room. So if you can bring that in, I'll show you a little beaded coaster that we did last year, which it's back in stock now. It's sold out after last year and we weren't able to get it back, but it is back now. So I will show you that in a bit, but for now, we will begin and I'll show you how exactly we're going to do this. So first step, we need to get our little piece of backing fabric. So I'll just zoom out. I'm going to start fairly zoomed out so we can see everything that I'm doing here today. The first thing we need to do, we get ourselves a piece of backing fabric like this. It comes with the kit. And I've just got some masking tape. And what I've done essentially is just covered the outer edge with masking tape. So you want to, I think potentially this one's closed in a little small. Essentially the best way to do it is if you have a look at this blank piece of backing fabric here, if you get your masking tape and you just cover, so if you've got like a piece of masking tape like this, there we are, out from nowhere, my Christmas coaster. There you go. Here, Joanne says, if you're left-handed, does it work in the opposite way? No, it doesn't matter if you're left or right-handed. You do it the same way. So essentially, which hand? I'll do it with both hands. It's easy to do it. So I'll show you with both left hand and right hand, which I'm not going to need to flip it over. I can just use my right hand. It's very easy. So anyway, like I said, once you've got your backing fabric, get yourself some masking tape like this, just some standard stuff, and stick a little bit on just here like this, fold it over, and stick it onto the other side as well, so it will give you a nice sort of covering on one section. Do it again on the next side and the next and the next, but you want to sort of do it so that you've got space. So you don't want it to cover too much of your work like this. You want to make sure you have enough space after you've done your masking tape. Next, what we'll do, we need to get ourselves our thread out. So when it comes to the amount of thread to use, just use whatever is comfortable for you. We're going to be using it at double thread. So essentially I'll have a piece that is double the length what I need, and then I'm going to fold it in half, stick a needle in the middle so that I don't have to worry about needles coming off, anything like that. It'll be much, much easier for me to work like that. So I'm going to have my double thread. I've cut one already, so I just use my little scissors here and cut myself a piece of thread, which I have a nice white piece of thread here. But like I said, I want to bring my needle nicely to the center. So the easiest way to do that, which, I just realized, I hope I have it still. There it is, very good. We also need, so if we take our needle here, I'm going to find the needle, I'm going to get the two ends of my thread. So one end of my thread is here, the other end of my thread is here. I personally like to do a double arms distance. So if you stretch out and do two lengths just a little bit short of your full arm's length one way and your full arm length the other way, so that you've got one big long piece. If you've got two of those, it sort of gives you the maximum that you can work with comfortably. You can do it a little bit shorter if you want to, and it means you don't have to change quite so many times the thread. But anyway, once you've got those two ends, hold them together, and let's just pull them until we get our needle nicely into the center of our work. Now, this next step, it's optional, but I definitely recommend it. So I've got myself just here a piece of beading thread conditioning wax. So if you haven't seen this before, essentially it's like made of like beeswax, which you can get it on our website if you want to. The link is down there in the description. If you want to check it out. It'll show you where you can get the kit, but you can also get some backing fabric. You can get the thread conditioner, you can get thread, all of these things. You can just click the link and it'll take you where you can see everything that you might want. So anyway, once you've got your thread conditioner. You can see this one's well used now. Essentially what I'm going to do is just condition my thread, which is, you know, as the name suggests, I'm going to use this wax to create like a thin layer that sort of bonds my two threads together. So if you have a look, I'm going to just hold it like this and then just pull my thread so that my thumb is pushing the thread into the thread conditioner. And as you pull, you can even sort of let it go into the edge of your wax there, your conditioner, and you just pull it all the way through. I like to pull it through, then pull it back, and just sort of let it get a nice coating of wax over the top of the entirety of the thread. It makes it a lot more manageable. Like I said, this step is only optional. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just personally think that it helps to turn this double thread into one single piece that makes it a lot more manageable and easy to work with. So you can see, just take a bit of time, sort of get a nice thin layer onto your thread there, and then I'll just take my thread conditioner, pop it aside, and I'll just run my fingers along it just to remove any additional residue. It's a really fun noise if you listen. Wait, ready? I'll do it again. You'll hear it. It's good fun. I like the noise. Did you hear that? I don't know. But anyway, it's a really fun little helpful thing to do. And you can see now your two threads are kind of tacky and a bit stuck together. It helps give you a better tension, but it also keeps the two threads together as one. It's not necessary, but it definitely helps. So once you've got your thread prepared, you've got your backing fabric prepared, you've got your design ready, and you've got your beads out, which I haven't got my beads out yet, but you can see you can just lay out your beads little by little. So only choose like a few beads that you might need and just sort of work with them one by one by one. Something I personally like to do is lay them out. So essentially I'm going to get myself out a few beads. As I said, I'm only going to make myself a small little test piece like this. So see that? I'm only going to make this small section here, which correlates to this little bit just here, just so you can see quite a few different colors, and I'll be able to go back and forth nice and quickly. The technique is the same, but it allows you to sort of see exactly what I'm doing the whole time. So anyway, using this little piece here, as it says on our instructions here, we want to start in the top right corner. So if we have a look up here, we're going to be starting in our top right corner. If you want to, another additional thing that you can do, so see how it's made up of this grid of all these different boxes? Our finished design is 70 boxes down and 60 boxes across. So if you want to, not necessary, you can sort of mark little spots on your backing fabric. They will be hidden. So you could say, yeah, here's box 1. This little vertice is number 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and count down 70 to make sure that you've got the full space available there. If you've got your masking tape covering too much, remove your masking tape and sort of readjust it to make sure that you've got the full 70 rows there, and then come across, count your 60 rows, and it'll probably come to about here somewhere, and that will give you your full size there. So once you've got that happening, we're going to work from the back of our piece first and foremost. So the first thing that we do, once we've figured out exactly where it is that we want to attach to, this is my top right corner just here, I'm going to take this little section, keep my finger there approximately so I know, yeah, this is where it is, just here. I'll even mark it on the back as well. So where is it? Here and here. Mark them at the same spot. There you go. And now I can see exactly where it is that I'm going. So if I show you on the instructions that we're going to give you how we're going to work this, essentially what we're going to do is, using our thread, we're going to create a little back stitch. So essentially what we're going to do is thread through one of these tiny holes. If you have a look at the grid, it's sort of made up of two separate grids. So you've got the big holes that you can see, and then you've got the finer little sort of ones in between. These ones in between, the thin ones, are going to give us our sort of structure with which we can attach to. So it's much, much easier if we have a look at our little thing just here. You can see there are the thin lines, and then you've got the big squares in between. So we've done the diagram so that you can see. Essentially, I'm going to, where we start is the green. This is our thread start point from the green. So we're going to go through there and do a little back stitch. So basically, the easiest way to do that is from the back. So we know this is where we want to start on the front, this top right corner. So from the back, I'm going to go through using the small squares. I'm going to go through one side and up the other. So see that? I've gone through this. Wait, I'll take my needle out so you can really see. See this little sort of piece just here? I'm going to go through that, underneath to the front side, and come back out this one just here. So underneath here, and up into the next one. So you can see it's kind of going around our little black dot. I'll pull that all the way through now, and just very slowly pull your thread nicely all the way through until you get to having a little bit of excess thread. You can also actually, do you know what? I will do it the other way. So I'll do it so that our excess thread is going to be underneath our work. So if I come in it from this side, go into it from that side, like we did just before, when I pull it all the way through, you'll see I'll have a tiny, tiny bit of tail thread, just a little bit hanging down at the bottom here. So once, there we go, there's a little bit of thread just there. That's enough. I'm going to just hold that with my thumb, this little bit of backing fabric, and I'm going to go into the middle. So this is sort of our back stitch part. I'm going to go into the middle little dot right there in the center that I marked. So into that one, all the way through. I'm going to bring it up to this front side now. So I'm going to just let my, got my thread caught on my corner just there. There we go. Let my thread come all the way up. If you keep holding on to this top corner just here, where this little bit of backing thread is, when you pull it all the way through, you can see it creates a nice little stitch around that box. It's nice and firm. I can come back to the front, and I'm exiting this teeny weeny little hole just there. And so I'm going to go down back into one of these little edges here and come up diagonally forwards. So see that? So now my thread is going to be exiting from this big square. So we've used the tiny square to get the tiny graph part of the backing fabric to get our thread attached. And now we're exiting from this top corner here, ready to continue working. So if I show you the diagram, you can see now I've gone out of here, down, and coming out of this big bead in the top corner just up here. So this is essentially where we're coming out of. My thread is attached. I'm coming out of a big hole at the top side, and I'm ready to begin attaching my beads now. So it is really, really easy to start attaching the beads. Essentially what we're going to do, if you have a look, the thread, we're currently coming out of this red circle here. So this is where our thread will be beginning, hence the green dot. This is our thread start point for this step. We're going to pick up one bead. There it is there. We're going to go down from the front to the back. So anytime you see a blue square, we go from the front of our work down into the back. Then you can see the thread is going to go underneath our little structure section. And then in the red square, we're going to go from the back to come out from the front. So more or less, we're exiting this one. We're going to go over the top here, underneath that little bit of fabric there, and up out of this one here with our first bead. So based on my little diagram I have here, I'll show you on the word chart how this would work. So because I'm going to be starting somewhere a bit further down here, I do have my little mini piece. So we'll pretend that this is where I'm going to be starting from here. Just this little bead just here. So if we have a look, we've got row 1. It says we're going to have 2 of our N beads, which if we have a look at our picture chart, that tells you the N bead is our opaque wild cherry. If I have a look at the beads that I've got, there it is just there. Color N, this lovely dark red color. So there it is just there. This is going to be the sort of the edging for our post box. A lovely dark red. You can see, yep, that's about right. So I'm going to get myself out a few of those beads to begin. Like I said, I personally like to lay my whole row out. So I'll show you what I mean. So if I grab myself a few beads, I'm going to need N's, O's, C's, and G's. So I'm going to get out some of my N's, some of my, because I've got all my colors just here. I'll get out some of my O's, which is that lovely rich postbox red color. Where's my G? I've got my C, which is the white for the snow that we're going to have. And I'm going to need my black beads. I've got opaque black beads just here. There we go. And I'll show you how we can continue along doing this little bit of work. So with my beads, I'm going to get them all out now, just so I've got a few just here. I'm going to lay them out, and I'll show you how exactly I personally like to work. So if I bring my little bead mat here, get my scissors out the way, get my thread out the way, I'm going to just lay the beads down. I kind of know which are which by now because it took me quite some time to get them all done and dusted, get everything finished. Where have I put my color C? There it is. So I'll grab my little beads just here. And I'm going to lay out my whole row because then I don't have to think about it at all. So just get out a few of my black beads. You don't need to get the whole lot out, just a few that we're going to work with. And then I'll have a few white beads as well. And a few white beads too. There we go. So, as I said, these are the colors I'm going to need for now. I'll need some more in a bit. But anyway, I'm going to lay it out based on my little chart here. So, looking at the colors that I'm going to need and the list just here, I need 2 N's, which is my dark red. So, I'm going to lay out 1, 2 little dark red ones. Then it says I need 4 of my color O, which is the brighter red. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 little beads just there. Lay them out. Now I need 5 of my color color C, sorry, which is the white. So I need 5 of these white ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got a few too many there. There we go. There's 5 little beads there. Lay them out. And then I need 3 of my color G beads. So you can see just here, 1, 2, 3 little G beads. I'll grab those out, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to lay those out as well. And so now you can see I've got 2 O's, 4 N's, 5 C's, and 3 G's. So I'll just move those ever so slightly out the way so I can show you what I'm going to do. And now, as I showed you in that little diagram, this one here, I'm going to be using this little bead exiting from here. I'm going to go over the top, underneath to the back side of the fabric from here, and then come back up from the box above. So visually speaking, that's going to look like this. So if we're looking just here where I'm exiting currently, I'm starting at this very, very top corner here. I'm going to go on the outside, so I'll pick up 1 of my color O, the first bead in my little row that I've got all set up, ready and waiting for me. Pick that little bead up. There we go. So I've got my bead here, my first little bead. Like I said, I've got my bead exiting from this upper square here, so I'm going to come diagonally across downwards, and I'm going to go underneath the backing fabric to the back side like this. And then I'm going to just use my needle very gently to come up back to this side that I'm working with on this one here. So I've gone into the back over here, underneath that teeny weeny little bit of in-between stitching, and then back up here. The good thing as well when I'm starting is if you can see underneath there, see that tail thread? I can catch that in underneath this little bit of work that I'm doing, and it's going to hide it and sew it in. So I can just pull my thread now all the way through, nice and slow, and you'll see it's going to just lock that little bead nicely into place. So see that? There's our first bead. And we're going to just repeat that same process again and again and again. That's pretty much the entirety of the technique, is you go down into the next bead, and that's it. So essentially, we'll do it again. So I'm coming out of this bead up here at the top. I'm going to tell you a few benefits to why we're going to use this technique. But anyway, you can see we're coming out of this bead here. We're going to go down into this box diagonally downwards on the upper side of our fabric. Go down underneath and up into that next box. Then when we pull that nice and tight, you can see it's going to lock the next bead perfectly beside that very first one. Pick up my next bead, which now I've got to use an O color bead, one of my brighter red colors, and we'll repeat again. So down diagonally to the next pair, go underneath the backing fabric, up to the hole just above it, pull it tight, and that's going to lock that bead in place too. And we can just keep on repeating like that until we get to the very, very end. So I'll just blast through these next few beads so that you can see how it works. I'll do a few of them in right hand in a second. So just down diagonally into the one beside and below, and then up into the box above. Pick up the next one. And the next, oops, got a bit of bead mat fluff on my needle there. Into there. And up into the next one. Pull that tight. And the next bead. And I can just sort of keep going. You'll see the great thing as well is if you've done cross stitch before, because we're using this backing fabric, it's like quite firm, and as you add beads to it, it gets softer and softer and softer. But because it's nice and firm, you don't actually need to use a frame for it. So unlike your traditional cross stitch where you need to keep it perfectly taut, perfectly tight, so that everything will be nicely in position, you don't have to worry about any of that sort of stuff with this arrazzo, because the beads give it the sort of the size and the strength and everything, and you can sort of use the firmness of the backing fabric to hold its shape as you're working. So as long as you've got the masking tape along the edge, it means that you're... The only reason I've got the masking tape on there, by the way, is so that it doesn't catch on the edge. So you can see that the edges of the backing fabric can be a little bit... See how they're a little bit rough, a little bit spiky? This is why I've got the masking tape on there, so that my thread doesn't catch on these little rough edges. You just cover them with tape and there's no need to worry. So I'll just continue on now until we get to the end. There's only 4 more beads to do before I'll come back and start continuing on the next row. Because I'll do a few rows just so that you can see the process of going back and forth between each one. Also, I'll show you, you know how I had that little thread underneath on the other piece? Cool thing is, it sort of disappears quite quickly once we are working nicely. See, wait a second, I'll just do my last bead, then I'll show you that thread that I had at the back is almost disappeared, gone, sewn underneath my work. So again, it's another nice, neat and tidy little way. See, look at that. See that thread that we had on the back? I've pretty much stitched it underneath the entirety of my work just here to get rid of it so that it's not going to be in the way or anything like that. Hi to Rhonda. Ellen's just joined us. She says, good morning from Texas. Laura is here. Can you lock the thread on the back now too? So essentially, everything should be already all nicely locked. So once we've done the entirety of our first row, we now need to do our next little turnaround. So I'll show you how we do the turnaround once we finished our first row. So if you have a look, this is the diagram that shows you that. I'm exiting from this top square just here, right? So I'm going to go down into the teeny weeny little square just here. See on the backing fabric how we've got the small squares along the same line as where we've stitched our beads into that tiny little one. Underneath, I'm going to skip this first box and go down into the second box. So if you have a look, essentially a thread will be going from here to here, here to here, here to here, here to here, and we want those beads when we're going back the other direction to sit in the same angle. So the way we have to do that is because we're coming from this side, we're going to go in reverse direction. So we go from the bottom and we're going to go over and down, over and down. So you'll see we need to come down to the bottom of where we will continue next time. So if I pick up my little thread here, I'll hold it for you, I'll turn it round. Well, actually, I'll hold it in the same direction as the diagram was. So I'm exiting from this little square here. See, up there at the top. We're going to go down into the teeny weeny little square. See that? The sort of the vertice of the tiny fabric, the tiny grid. And we're going to skip the first box. So I've gone down this one, missed this box, which is just here, under this little bit of sort of structure grid, and into the next big hole below. So as I pull all the way through, for some reason my ruler is caught. Let's pull that all the way through, all the way. There we go. And now I'm in position to do my next row. So if I have a look at what my next row says I'm going to need, see now it's in red. So row 2, it says R, which if we look at our little instruction, it says we start from the left and we work towards the right. So on this diagram, we start on the left and we're going to be working towards the right. So here we go, 4G, there's 4 Gs, 5 Cs, and 5 Cs, 3 Os, 1, 2, 3, and finally 2 Ns, NN. So I'm going to lay those all out. So 4 Gs, 1, 2, 3, 4 Gs, 5 C beads, putting them just nicely here onto my bead mat. There you go, 4 Gs, 5 Cs, which are white, 3 of my little O color beads, and 2 of my N color beads. So that's going to give me 4 Gs, 5 Cs, 3 Os, 2 Ns. And now I can just continue working back in the same sort of way. So I personally find that when I'm going to do this next row, I like to turn my work around so that I can thread the needle away from myself. So I've turned it round now, and now it's sort of like we're back up at the top again. So see that? We're up here. It's kind of like we're at the top. So now I'm going to pick one up, and I'm going to go diagonally from here into the next little box just there, and up to the one above it. So it's kind of exactly the same technique, but because we're doing it upside down, you'll see the beads, see how they sit at this 45-degree angle? They're going to sit like that on the next row as well. So if I just continue, I'll show you the next one. I like to keep my thread out the way when I do this. I'm going to go under there and up the next one. See that? There we go. pull it tight. Go pick up the next one and pull it tight. Now, you might be thinking the beads look a little bit far apart from each other. They look a little bit loose together, don't they? Well, don't worry. As you add more beads, because the size of the bead and the size of the square are exactly the same size, it took a lot of trial and error from us to try and work that out. Exactly the right sizing, because if you've got the wrong sizing, the beads sort of bunch together. If you've got a too big a fabric, they end up sort of stretching apart and it's sort of not sitting right. So you need to have beads that are the exact same size as your backing fabric squares. So anyway, as you continue, because the sizes of your beads are exactly right, you'll find that you don't need to be too worried about if they're looking a little bit loose just now, because it is all going to sort of come together quite tight, quite firm. You just got to make sure that as you do it, you don't want your thread to be catching on previous beads. So I'll finish this row in left-hand view, and then I'm going to do it as though I'm a right-hander, which is exactly the same. There's no difference whatsoever if you're left or right-handed. It's just the exact same process, just whichever hand it is that you're going to use to go underneath those backing fabric little squares and into the next one. But you can see the great thing with the beads being at that slight 45-degree angle is that you can get some really nice both straight lines up and down. I'll show you on the main piece in just a second. It's really, really good for getting diagonal lines and straight lines. So when you're doing normal beadwork, so if you're making a design with peyote stitch, for example, that is fantastic for getting for getting diagonal lines and maybe horizontal lines, but it's really bad for vertical lines. If you're doing square stitch, you get really nice straight lines like left and right and up and down, but you get really unpleasant diagonals. But the nice thing with the arrazzo, because it's at that 45-degree angle, you get a really nice diagonal line and left and right straight lines. So it works out that you can get beautiful lines from your design far better than you can from peyote stitch or from your square stitch work. So I'm just doing the last bead on this row now, just to see the exact same way. And if you have a look, essentially this one, there you go. See, it's all coming together quite nicely now. I'll turn it round. See that? It's all starting to come together. It looks quite nice. As I said to you, it sort of, they sit much, much closer. The more you add, the better it's all going to start sitting together. So now to get on to the next line, we don't really have to do too much. Technically, we're already in the right spot to do our next little row. So you can see we've added our second row, we've worked along, and we've done our second row. And now what we need to do, essentially, is just do our turnaround. So you can see we're currently exiting from this box, which is at the bottom, just here, below our very last bead. So there's our very last bead. This is the box we're currently exiting. We're going to go into that teeny weeny little vertice there of our sort of structure grid, and we're going to go underneath the thread and back up the very same square that we're currently exiting from. So taking my needle, if you see my thread, it is coming apart a little bit just because, you know, sometimes this can happen. This is when you might want to re-wax your thread real quick if you are doing that. It's not a necessity, but like I said, it definitely helps. So I'll just run my thread along my wax here a couple of times. Just pull it through there once. In fact, I'll even take it back in the same direction again. And I'll even do it a third time. Why not, eh? There you go. And that's going to get my thread, once I give it a nice little clean. Just run it through my fingers now. It's going to get that much cleaner again. There we are. Look at that. Looks good now. It's all sort of stuck together as one single thread. And so I'll show you how we're going to do that little stitch, like I said. So we're exiting from, let's zoom in a bit more, exiting from this one here. We're going to go down into the little structure vertice, which is just beside it. So see that? We're going to go down into this one here and back up and out the box that we're already exiting from. So see how we started from this box and we're now going through that vertice and back into the very same box. See that? So pull that all the way through, nice and tight, and that's going to just lock that last little bead perfectly into place so that it's nice and in position, not going anywhere, not doing anything, easy to start working with. So now that I've got that, it's time to do row 3. So I'll show you row 3, but this time I'll do it as though I'm a right-hander. This could be a little slower because I'm clearly being a left-handed person. It is much easier for me doing it with my left hand, but I can show you it with the right. So anyway, now that we're going back from the left towards the right for row 3, you can see we've got N, N, O, O, C, C, J, C, C, O, 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 O. And it's all counted here. So look, 2 N's, 2 O's, 2 C's, 1 J, 2 C's, and 5 O's. So I'll do that row, and that's going to give us the little, this is where we're making. So we've done these 2 rows just here. We've done this sort of section just in here, and we're going to start adding the tip of his little glove. You know how I was telling you about how it gets diagonal lines really good? So you can see you've got your straight lines here, perfectly straight. You've got your straight lines here, perfectly straight as well. See, look at that. The bottom of the box, perfectly square. Bottom of the box, perfect, edge of the box, perfectly square. And then that little edge, and down the edge of his arm, another perfectly straight diagonal line. So it works really, really nicely for all of those different angles. So anyway, doing it with my right hand now, hopefully I won't be too uncoordinated when I do this. Let's get those beads. Where did I just put them? Let's see. So we need 2 of my N's, which are the dark blue, 2 of my O's, which are the red, 2 white ones, which are color C. I'll grab myself out my color J bead, which is this lovely silver lining. The nice thing as well with these designs is that you can use various textures of beads to give you different sort of looks. So looking at this one here, see we've got this lovely silver line blue. It makes it sparkle and shine and stand out a bit so that when we look at the finished design, if I zoom all the way out, see how the pillbox, the letterbox, which is in opaque beads, stands out beautifully. The blue, the shiny blue, when it moves, doesn't quite show it on the camera, but when it moves in the light, it shimmers, which is quite nice. Same with the red in his hat. And then see all of these ones here, they're all transparent beads, so they sort of recede into the background. So that's why his face and his clothes and his letterbox and all of that, they come to the front, and then those transparent beads recede into the back. In the same way that you can see with the trees up here in the corner, you can see that they're coming to the front and then on top of that back that recedes nicely away. So if I continue now, where's that J? I've got my colored J beads, which is going to be that one right there. So I'll lay that one in. I'll just get myself out a couple. I might just grab 1 J bead. I don't know if I'll do a 4th row, but anyway. So there we go. There's our little J bead there. Then I've got 2 C's and 5 O's. So see that? You can see just there 5 of my O's, and the O is the dark brown, is it? Yes, so, yes. Oh, yeah, it's the red. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little beads there. Oops, got a 6th. So O's are the nice red color. So you can sort of go, which one was O again? Ah, yeah, here it is. It's that nice pillbox red color, and you can sort of see, yep, 5 of them, there they are. And now I'm ready to continue going back along that next line here. So I'm going to add 2 N's, 2 O's, 2 C's, a J, 2 C, and then 5 O's. But I'll do this one all right-handed, so this could be a disaster with me not being left-handed, with me being left-handed rather than right-handed, but I'll give it a go. So I'll pick up my first bead. You can thread it down if you want to. And now, having a look just here, I might not do the whole row like this, but anyway, essentially what we're going to do is coming from this bead at the top corner, see it just there, there it is, we're coming out of this top corner bead here, we're going to go down diagonally into the next bead, next grid, sorry, and up through, whoops, just out of shot there, up through both into the square above. So we can just push that through there, pull that all the way through, and that'll lock our next bead nicely into position. So I'll do it again. Pick up my next bead, use my left hand for that part. You can thread it down if you want to, you don't have to. And then we're going to go diagonally across into the next box and up, oops, into the next big box above. See that? Into there, up there. Pull that tight all the way through. Make sure your little thread doesn't get caught. I'll just zoom out a little. I just realized I'm a little bit too far zoomed in, I think. That's what the problem is. There we go. I'll pick up my next bead. And let's thread it into the next square. So, get it a bit closer. Get your thread out the way. You can see that there. We're going to go into this box here, which is diagonally downwards, and then up into the one above it. See, it's as easy as that. Even though I'm not right-handed, I can still do it with my right hand if I want to. Pull that there, and that's going to sit nicely in position. Take my next bead. I tell you, I reckon I deserve extra kudos for these steps in right hand, doing it with my right hand here. But there you go. So into there, up into the box above. Try to avoid the thread that's holding the other beads in place when you do these rows. Pull that through, all the way. Give it an extra tug. You see, there we go. There's our next one there. So I'm going to do the next few rows with my left hand, just till we get to the end, and then I'll try and show you the turnaround with my right hand, just so we've got the idea. And then that's going to pretty much finish us off. We will just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth along your work, eventually just sort of bringing them out. But I'm going to show you a few other designs that we've done in the past that you can work with, and I'm going to tell you various ways. I'll talk you through how you turn it into a box. Because essentially, the nice thing about these arrazzo designs, also unlike your peyote work and your square stitch work, is that once it's finished, it's this lovely piece of beaded fabric. So essentially, what you've created is something that you can sew with, something you can stitch with. I know there's a lot of people in this group. Jan Alston, you're here, I'm sure. She's an avid quilter. The great thing is that you can use these arrazzo pieces in your quilting designs. Jermaine has made a really nice little mini handbag out of our peacock double kit. It's got like a front and a back, and Jermaine's made that into a really cute bag, little handbag. You could do it into like a wall hanging if you wanted to. You can stick it in a frame if you like. I've seen a lady who used our wolf face into the back of a leather jacket for her husband, which he absolutely loves. He brought it, he wore it to a craft fair and brought it along. Looked fantastic into a jacket she'd made him. There's a lot of different ways that you can use it. It's literally anything you can do with a piece of fabric, you can do with one of these arrazzo pieces. Jan says, yes, they would look amazing on a quilt. I'm glad you think so. So anyway, I'm going to just get to the end now, and I'll show you once more how we're going to do that little turnaround. So like I showed you, we want to be working so that we get the same angle. We need to come from here so that we're exiting from this little square here, so that when we do our next row, our thread that joins the beads onto the top is going to go from here to this bead here. So if I just go underneath that little hole just there, down into that little gap there, and we can pull that tight. That's going to bring us into position. If I just follow the pattern where it says I need to do 6 little O beads, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 6th one, you can see if I go like this, if I don't turn it around, essentially what I'm doing is going from this side and into the box below. But hey, if it's easier for you, turn it round, turn it whichever way it is that you like, but essentially you want to make sure that you're always on the diagonal every time, so that you've got that same 45-degree angle with every single bead. Oops, dropped my bead there. Let's get rid of it. And now we'll do our next little fella. So we'll go diagonally across, so that the bead will be over the top like this, and sort of 90 degrees to our thread, so that that's going to be nicely just there. And you just keep going back and forth and back and forth. Easy peasy. However it takes your fancy, that's how you can do it. So, wait a minute. Pull that tight too. And then you'll see it just comes together so nicely, so quickly. I'll show you a piece from last year in just a second. So yeah, there's, there you go. You can see it comes together really, really nicely when you zoom out. Obviously, when you see it from super close up, you can see the little threads, but as you add more and more and more beads, that all sort of disappears. You can position it, and it starts to look really good. Really fantastic. And then the great thing as well is, like I said, if you want to take a break, what you can do is just take your needle into your backing fabric and go through like that. And just leave it there in your mat, and it's not going anywhere. Oh, actually, do you know what? I'll show you how to finish off a thread as well, how to tie it off, because that's always useful to know when you need to change threads. So what we'll do is, see this teeny weeny little, just say you've got almost no thread left and you want to finish off your thread. So let's just zoom back in. When you're almost out of thread, we're going to go back into our sort of structure grid, into that little vertice. I like using the vertices because they give you nice small little holes. And I'm going to go all the way through so that my thread is on the back. So if I just bring my thread all the way through to the back like that, you can see there's no thread on the front now, nice and clean, and we turn it over to the back, and here we are on the back, and we want to get rid of that. Well, the easiest way to do it is with some back stitches again. So if we have a look, you can see just underneath, these are the last few beads that I've been using just here. The question from Laurie is, so why are you using 10s, not 11s? It's really, really important that the size of your bead is exactly the same size as your grid. So if the square of the grid is too big compared to the size of the bead, see, I'll show you. With a nice black bead, it's pretty much exactly the same size as the little squares. See that? So that you get one bead per square. One bead, one bead, one bead, one bead, one bead. If the beads are bigger than the squares, you get bunching and they don't sit nicely. So see that? See how nicely it sits in the center there? It's exactly the same size as that little square. Any bigger and you'll get bunching. any smaller, and you'll just see straight through the gaps, and you'll have like a really spread out pattern and it won't look good. So it's extremely important that your beads and your backing fabric, which is why this whole process, it was a lot of trial and error and getting it all perfect for us to get it just right. And that's why we've gone with those size 10 beads, and they fit exactly with this backing fabric. So anyway, I'll just show you how to finish off this little thread now. So you can see how underneath the thread, you can see this is where we've stitched all of our beads to. We can use these in a similar way to how we got rid of our thread at the very beginning. So if we take our thread underneath that little stitch, see that? There's a little stitch there. We can go just neatly under it, under the next one, and we'll go through, pull our needle all the way through. Now let's do ourselves a nice little back stitch to get it nice and neat. So all we have to do again is just sort of loop back around and pierce through that same little loop that we went under. Go under the next. If you want to, you can do another back stitch here. So pull this tight. Going to loop back around and through the one that we're already exiting. Go through there. Through the next. And why not? I'll even go through the one after that. And that'll do me. Through there, and through that last one. You can just take your time with it. There we go. Pull it all the way through, and now just very carefully with your scissors, some nice good thread scissors, you can just come in and cut that excess off. Your thread is now neat on the back. Can be a little bit messy on the back. That doesn't matter because no one's ever going to see this side. But the front, it's lovely and clean, all neat, looks good. You can't tell where the threads are. It just is this beautiful stitching of your beads. So look at that, nice and easy. Really, really easy. And you can just bring in a brand new thread exactly the way you would. And seeing as we would be exiting from that little hole just there, that's where we would need to bring in our thread to. So you can see we've gone through there and exiting, bring in our new thread to be exiting from this little bead just here, because essentially that's where we were when we finished. So if you have a look, see how this thread is going diagonally there. That means the next place it would have gone is through to this square, and this is where we want to begin from when we add our next one. So anyway, I'll show you some of the other sort of designs, things like that that you can do, because if we jump ahead, I forgot my tea. We've got lots of different designs that we've done in the past. So for example, oh yeah, I'll show you these in a minute. Where am I? Here we go. So this is something that is really, really useful. So you know how it's quite stiff here. This is quite a stiff little piece that we've got just here. It makes it really easy to work with, but doesn't seem so soft and supple. As you add more and more beads, it becomes a lot more soft and fluid and easy to work with. Let me just unfold this fella. I think we sticky taped it for a frame. So anyway, if you have a look, once you, because I've almost finished my tiger face here, I've just got a couple of rows left, you can see what was very, very stiff has become soft and supple, and it flows and moves like a piece of fabric and looks really, really lovely. And works really easily, and you can do whatever you want with it. So once it's at this point, you can see it folds nicely, it's soft, clean, and it may as well just be a piece of fabric, but it has this gorgeous design right there on the front. So there's our almost finished tiger face. The same sort of thing applies with like our butterflies. You can see if I unfold it, there's all the backing fabric. But again, it's just ultra soft. It's still quite stiff down here where it's not got the beads on, but where the beads are, look at that. it flows. And it looks gorgeous. You can really see the difference between using your transparent beads and your opaque beads with these butterflies. And like, here, wait, I'll show you with my monarch butterfly. You can really see that you get this sort of difference where this one, it's all with opaque beads, but because they're opaque, they sort of fade away into the background. I should take this off. Oh well, doesn't matter, whatever. Anyway, all the transparent beads sort of fade into the background, and then you've got your opaque beads that sort of bring it to the front, and so it looks like it's coming out of your image. See? So there it is again there. You can see all these opaque beads come to the front, and it looks like your butterfly, which if I wonder if I can do this. See if I can get it to focus on my fingers somehow, so that the back is just out of focus, and you can see the silver lining. See the silver lining of the beads down here? When it's out of focus, you can see them. So there you go. You get this lovely effect from the silver lining, which you don't see it as nearly as nicely when you've got it in focus, but the out of focus looks a lot more like how it would look in your eyes. This is how it looks to me, but see how it like sparkles and shimmers in the background there? But yeah, so you can use those different textures to give you different things, different effects. As I was saying earlier, the Arazzo coasters, which are our little... there's 4 different designs of those. They're back in stock now too, which... Where have I put my coaster? I had a coaster. I'll talk you through... here it is. There we go. There's our little coaster. These are back in stock now too. So the kit for this one... we do have our Arazzo sale on at the minute, so loads of things are on sale, but the coasters, it makes 4 coasters. It's back in stock now. This one sold really, really well last year. We absolutely, completely sold out of it because it has 4 different designs to make your coasters. So there's like the star, they're all little different snowflakes. But anyway, this one is back in stock. All the others are in stock and also on sale. So we've got 10% off some of them. We've got 20% off others if you want to get them. So that is what's going on for the next week or so if you want to try out some Arazzo. But it is lots and lots of fun. It's really, really easy. And I'll just talk you through how you would take something like what we've been making, like our little tiger face, for example. He's a good example because he's almost finished. How you could take something like that and turn it into our box, which I know Jermaine wants me to show off her mitered corners. There you go. There they are just there. Jermaine's beautifully mitered corners from her little box. See, this is the fully finished design. This is essentially, we were just doing this small little section, but you can see it all comes together really, really nicely in the end. It's a shame that I can't show you it from slightly further away, because obviously it looks really, really lovely. But yeah, it comes together, it looks beautiful, and if you want to make the box, I'll just show you how you do it. Essentially, you need to just get some cardboard, which you use for the base, something nice and firm that will give it this structure, and then you cover it. I've got the instructions. I'll read through the instructions actually, just to sort of show you the gist of how you would turn your Arazzo into something that you can use. So there's like the zipper foot feature that Jermaine likes to use, but I'll tell you about it. So essentially, if you want to make the box, you need a piece of cardboard that's nice and thick, that will use one piece for the base, one piece for this side here, one for these sides, and one for this. Then you need one piece for the back side of your Arazzo, which is, you know, the full size, a little bit larger than this piece, and then its little edging pieces of the same. We also have some little lining pieces of like sort of cereal cardboard on the inside, which give us a nice lining as well. So that's essentially all of those different pieces that you need. You need some wadding, which we use in the lid, which makes it feel nice and soft as well. And essentially, the way Jermaine does her corners, because she's, you know, been sewing for a long time. Basically what she does is she gets a nice square piece like this. This is your piece of cardboard just there. You place your fabric inside the center of that, and then see how this little corner has been cut. So this is what she does to miter those little corners. So when she cuts this little section off, it allows her, or you, or whomever, to use like some Pritt stick, glue stick, and you just glue all of this edge here, all of this here, and you just fold it in. And that brings that in nicely towards into the center. Fold it over the top there, and it gives you this side. Then you glue all that side, and you fold that in there. And what in the end happens is that you've got these lovely square corners covering your piece of cardboard there. You do the same with those little edge pieces. So see that? We've got little, there's a better sort of example where it's not quite mitered perfectly, but it doesn't matter because it's on the inside. But yeah, there's that really nice little bit just there. And you can see, you just stick it all down to your little bits of cardboard like this. You use your zipper foot and sew your thread here. Because what Jermaine does on the first step is she uses the sewing machine to thread like a guide thread. So basically you can just use your sewing machine, thread with like a contrasting color that matches your box, for example. And it gives you a nice guideline that goes all the way along the edge of your beads just here, so that when you turn it over at the back, you can see exactly where the edge is. So if you used like a bright blue thread or something just along this edge here, when you turn it over, you would see that bright blue thread on the other side. That way, when you want to join your two pieces of fabric together, so the Arazzo backing fabric and also your other piece of fabric, you can stitch the backs to each other. So essentially what you end up with is a really perfectly flush edge, so that it's perfectly against the edge of your work. Don't worry though, if you're not so sure about that, all of that information is covered in here. There's loads and loads of text, and then essentially, see there it is, you can see she's got her piece of guide stitching all the way around the edge there, and then more or less pins them all together, glues, and then stitches the sides of her boxes to each other. So if I show you it on the actual box here, you can see the little pieces of box are actually just, see how there's like a nice little row of stitching here? But then there's also stitching down the edges here and down here and all of this, and everything is all stitched together perfectly. And when it all comes together, the stitching sort of holds it all in perfectly, ready for once you've got your finished lid, you can just pop, whoops, I've got it sideways, I think. There we are. Pop that nicely in there. You can go, do you know what? I'm going to put all of my Christmas chocolates in there. Or do you know what else you could do with it, which I guess makes perfect sense with the letterbox, is that you could put like grandchildren's letters to Santa and put them inside here if you wanted to. You go, yeah, you know, that's that lovely letter that little Johnny made when he was 3 years old. You put it in there, you store it and put it away and keep it. Or your Christmas cards that you received from the previous year, you can get all those and put them in here, and then you just, you know, once you've got that. I personally prefer putting all of my chocolates in here so that when it comes to eating them, you've got this lovely box that just sits nicely on the table. You can eat that away. So this, yeah, this is, I believe, this fabric we got from John Lewis. This one just here. Some John Lewis fabric. But they've got They've got a lovely range, but you can use any fabric you want. If you use a nice thin fabric though, that is definitely better because it's way easier to get it to bend and fold when you need to stick it onto your thicker card. So if you have a look, essentially, this is some of the thick card. You can see it doesn't bend, and that gives you one of your box side pieces. And then you just cover those with a little bit of lining from, look, bit of cardboard from some cereal, some fruit wheats. And you can use that as your lining. So lining for the top, this piece. And then you've got your thick pieces, you've got your thin pieces. See, look at that, look at the difference. It's just a couple of mil thick, but it's really solid, and it gives your box that fabulous structure. But anyway, I'll just show you on the website, as per usual, we've got our sale on at the minute on all things Arazzo. So if you click the link in the description on the website there, in the link in the description down below. So if you have a look, if you're on Facebook, it is up above. If you're on YouTube, it's down below. You can click on, there's lots and lots of different links. Links to go and get £5 worth of patterns if you want to try that out. But essentially, if you click on the one that says, you know, view today's products, it will take you straight to where you can find it. Otherwise, if you head to www.beadspider.co.uk, it will take you to the homepage. At the minute, we still have our Christmas kit sale on, which has all of our different Christmas kits. There's that little pearl angel I did last week. All of our Christmas kits, they are still discounted. That poinsettia that Jermaine has done a live tutorial on, our Christmas wreath, you can still get those all discounted. There's our letter to Santa and the beaded coasters. The little angel Arazzo as well, that one's really nice. All of those are available. Get £5 of patterns for free as well if you want to. But yeah, that's that there. The Arazzo sale on the right, if you click on that one, we've got 10 to 20% off of all of the kits. So even though this one is brand new, usually $19.99 in pounds. If you're in the US or Europe, the currency automatically converts for you, but if you want to change it, so for example, if you have a euro account but you're in Norway or something like that, you can use your euros instead of pounds. If you're in Canada and you've got a US dollars account, you can use your US dollars up there, and then there you go. Look at that, $25 for that little kit there, and that makes that gorgeous little piece of Arazzo, and you get the bonus instructions on how to make the craft box as well. So all of that is included inside. I'll put it back to pounds for now. So this is the one that I've been working on today. The coasters are back in stock, finally. It took a really long time to get the beads all back, so we've got those now. You can get the coasters. It does have 4 different styles of coaster, which I need to put the picture back on. But anyway, there's 4 different designs of coasters that you get in the beaded coaster kit, which, yeah, it says includes 4 different designs, but for some reason I don't have them on there. There's the angel. But you can see, if you like those butterflies, you can get all 4 of them bundled 20% off. If you want to get our Arazzo Starter Super Bundle, comes with our Arazzo DVD, comes with some of the wax, the fabric conditioner that I was using. We've got our Arazzo Fairy, which looks absolutely gorgeous. I'll show you this one. There should hopefully be a lovely, fully finished picture, I think. We had, well, there's the gist of it. There's a lovely, the Autumn Fairy, if you want to get that one. We've got our tiger face, which I showed you. There's the wolf face. Each of the individual butterflies is here. We've got our peacock double kit, which I hope it shows it. It's also got, no, there's no photo, gutted. There's also instructions on how to turn it into a little bag, which I don't know where that bag is, but I wish I could have showed it to you. And then the tulip double kit also shows you how to make it into a little box as well. So lots and lots of Arazzo kits if you want to get them. Otherwise, if you missed the start of this tutorial, you can come down here where it says Letter to Santa, Arazzo beaded Arazzo with bonus craft box instructions. Click on that one. It'll take you to where you can watch today's video. So here it is. You can just click on that. hit play. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which I do recommend. If you're watching this, be sure, if you're brand new, to subscribe. Down here, you can see our arrazzo kits. You can see the beads that you can use, and you can also get your accessories. Otherwise, also from the homepage, which is the link where it says view all related products. If you click on that one, shows you where we've got everything. So you've got your letter to Santa, you've got your coasters, your angels, lots and lots of different things. You can get the white thread if you want it. You can get the DVD, which will show you lots and lots of different techniques in there. We've got more thread. You can get the backing fabric, which you get a nice big fat quarter there. And you can also get that 30-gram thread conditioner there as well. So that's all there. But if you want to get our, where is it? Here it is. The Arazzo Super Bundle, the Starter Super Bundle, sorry. You get the peacock, you get the tulip, you get the angel, you get the DVD, you get all the beads, and you also get the backing fabric, plus the thread, plus you also get a little pattern to have a go at making your own, and you get a thread conditioner included as well. So there's lots and lots of different things you can get. But essentially, that is everything from that. I will also mention, just in case you didn't know, our Facebook group. We are doing still our festive beading competition, so you can enter that one. All you've got to do is click the link down below in the description or up above, and it will take you to the Bead Spider group where we have our jewelry making, bead patterns, tutorials and more by Bead Spider. Here it is, just here. If you scroll to the top, you can see festive beading competition. You click on that, you can see we've got loads and loads of people who've entered the competition. We've got 87 comments so far on it. So if you want, you can come on here, look, and loads of people have been entering their beautiful designs, all with a festive theme. So very, very nice. You can see lots and lots of things that people have been entering in to win. There's a little over 2 weeks left. So if you want to enter that one, go jump on and have a look. Feel free to enter your things. But essentially, anything that makes you feel festive, that's what we want to see. So feel free to post anything that does that for you. Like, for example, this wreath by Carolyn. We've got Kaylee's little nutcracker there that she's beaded with delica beads. Anything that you've got that makes you feel festive, put those in. Like Christmas decorations here by Jackie. We've got all sorts of different entrances, but yeah, give us a little bit of information about it. We want to see what you've got. But yeah, so essentially that is everything there. Let's hide this little bit here. Otherwise, feel free to join the community. We've got over 10,600 people now. Crazy numbers. When we started this competition, we had 5,000. That's why it says we're so excited to announce we have 5,000. There's double that in under a month. Less than a month, we've doubled the size of our group. So thank you everyone for joining. But you can see there's lots and lots of people who we try and do interesting things, little polls like this. How long have you been beading for? You know, people show off all the lovely things that they've made here. There's loads of inspiration. If you have a look over here on the right, you can get free patterns that we put in. There's a whole load of free patterns. All of these patterns are available for free. You can just go in and download them straight away, whatever you want. But they're exclusive to the members of our group. So if you want to be a part of that fun, enjoy that and all of that, go and join our little bead group over on Facebook. It is absolutely going off a storm, so please do join as well. Anyway, that is pretty much it from me for this week. I hope you've enjoyed doing a little bit of arrazzo. If you're an avid cross-stitcher, I think you'll absolutely love doing arrazzo. Everything is included in the kits, so you don't have to try and source the beads or anything. We give you it all. We give you all the thread, the backing fabric, everything. Everything is inside, all of it. It's all there for you if you want to have a go. We've got lots and lots of kits. If you don't want to try out Santa, the letter to Santa one, you can have a go at I keep forgetting that the green isn't going to show. I should have chosen a different color. Anyway, yeah, if they are If there's anything else that you fancy having a go at, the snowflake coasters, which are back in stock now, give them a go. Try them out. The sale on the Christmas kits, that's going to be ending soon. So if you want to go and get some Christmas kits, they are very, very inexpensive at the minute. If you want to make yourself some super cute little earrings with angel wing charms, go watch my tutorial that I did last week. I tell you, it matches my beard beautifully, doesn't it? But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. As per, we've got Jan here, we've got Purple Penny, we've got Janet, we've got Jermaine's here, Purple Penny as well, Wayne's here, lots and lots of people joining, which is lovely to see. But thank you all very, very much for joining in. Sandy says, that looks so cool. I'm glad you liked it, Sandy. But yeah, thank you all very, very much for watching. And I guess have a lovely weekend. I'm off to do some relaxationing before I get started with doing the instructions for next week's tutorial. I've got something really fun, really interesting. I think you're really going to like it. But yeah, go check out everything on the website if you want to have a look. Make sure you join our little Bead Spider Facebook group. Share this video, like this video, do all of those usual things. You know what to do. I'm going to go now and have a lovely weekend, and I hope you do also. So thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.